friends. It's awesome to be back with you again today. Today is June 14th, 2020, and we are getting closer and closer and closer of getting back together. But today, we are still talking about YOLO. You only live once. And today, we're going to be talking about anger and how to control that anger and how not to hold grudges. But you know what? Let's start our praise and worship, and let's get right on into worshiping God together.
Happy day, you wash my sin away. Oh, happy day, I'll never be the same.
The greatest day in history, death has beaten, you have rescued me. Sing it out, Jesus is alive. The empty cross, the empty grave, life eternal, you have won the day. Shout it out, Jesus is alive. He's alive. Oh, happy day, when you wash my sin away. Oh, happy day, I'll never be the same. Forever I am changed. When I stand in that place, free at last, meeting face to face, I am yours, Jesus, you are mine. Endless joy and perfect peace, earthly pain finally will cease. Celebrate, Jesus is alive. He's alive. Oh, happy day, when you wash my sin away. Oh, happy day, I'll never be the same. Forever I am changed. And oh, what a glorious day, what a glorious way, my Lord, that you have saved me. And oh, what a glorious day, what a glorious name, Jesus. Oh, happy day, you wash my sin away. Oh, happy day, I'll never be the same. Oh, happy day, when you wash my sin away. Oh, happy day, I'll never be the same. No, forever I am changed. Forever I am something good. Even through the deepest valley, you go before me, you are here. For I know you'll never leave me, your love surrounds me, I won't fear. When I'm broken and down to nothing, I know that you are always up to something good. I know that you are always up to something good. You'll make a way, whatever it takes. There's nothing your love won't endure. I know that you are always up to something good. Through the darkest night, you are on my side. You were always faithful. Through my fear and doubt, you will lead me out. You were always able. Through the darkest night, you are on my side. You were always faithful. Through my fear and doubt, you will lead me out. I know that you are always up to something good. I know that you are always up to something good. You'll make a way, whatever it takes. There's nothing your love won't endure. I know that you are always up to something good. You'll make a way, whatever it takes. There's nothing your love won't endure. I know that you are always up to something good.
I'm caught up in your presence. I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. I'm sorry when I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry when I just sang another song. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. I'm sorry when I've come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot that you're enough. Take me back to where we started.
awesome, even worshiping at home. So today, like I said, we're still getting right into our new curriculum, YOLO, you only live once. But today, like I said, we're talking a little bit about how controlling our anger. So Greyson, I would ask you, what makes you really, really mad?
Well, sometimes being with my sisters, but then sometimes just having to just get overwhelmed just kind of doing a bunch of things. Like, it has to be, I think, in my mind, it has to be perfect. And then if it's not, I'm just really overwhelmed with if it's not.
You know what kind of makes me mad?
What?
When I spend hours on a dinner and it doesn't come out the way I think it should. That really makes me mad because I feel like I've wasted my food, wasted my time, but I control my anger with it, and that's what we're going to learn today. So today, we're going to get right into our intro lesson, and we're going to learn how she conquers her fear again.
I'm Lauren, and welcome back to this series, YOLO, You Only Live Once, where we've been learning about some pretty awesome stories from the book of Esther. And of course, I'm on a journey to do some pretty daring risks. Today, you're not going to believe what I'm going to do. Check it out.
Today, I'm going to do something no one else gets to do. I'm going to ride in a drift car. Here he comes. Okay, I'm all buckled in and I'm ready to go drifting, but before we do, here, let me get a glass of water.
Incredible. You know, there was a point where I got kind of angry, but I quickly regained control with God's help. You know why? Because anger is a horrible thing with horrible consequences if you let it control you. Someone who really dealt with anger in the book of Esther is a man named Haman. His anger led him to do some horrible things. You're going to learn all about that in your lesson today, and you're going to learn from Haman's bad example what happens when you let anger control you. Well, I'm going to let you get back into your lesson today. And while you do that, I'm going to be planning my next big stunt. Until next time, I'm Lauren, reminding you that you only live once. Make it count.
Wow, that was another great intro video. So we're going to continue on with our lesson talking about anger and how anger is such a powerful thing. We need to learn how to deal with our anger. Because if we don't learn how to deal with our anger is going to deal with us. We're going to learn some very important lessons from another important man in the book of Esther. His name is Haman. But before we get into that, let's get right into our What's Up verse.
There's no need to fear. Wacky Wally is here.
Okay, hi there, Wacky Wally. Did you get a new costume or something?
What's that supposed to mean? You trying to start something?
No, not at all. You're just wearing something different. I was just asking a question.
That's what I thought.
Wally, are you okay? You're acting really angry today.
I know. Isn't it awesome? Whatever.
No, why exactly are you acting like this? I thought you were supposed to be a superhero in training.
I still am. I'm trying out a new technique.
Looking like a weird giant lime?
What? No, I'm trying to get super strength by being angry all the time. You know, like the Incredible Hulk.
Oh, yeah, you mean like that green dude that wears the purple little short pants thing?
Yeah, but he's more than that. He's like 20 feet tall, and he's covered in giant muscles. And can bench press a whale, and he yells, Hulk smash!
So you're really meaning the big green dude in the purple pants?
Yes, that's him. Anyway, I'm trying to stay angry all the time, so I can get super strong.
Well, that sounds like a really horrible way to live.
Oh yeah? Well, read this.
Okay, well, it just looks like a Chili's receipt.
Oh yeah, well, flip it over.
Comic books are for losers?
How dare you say that? Oh, I'm getting really mad. Wally, smash! I said Wally, smash! Come on, Wally, smash! I guess I'm not angry enough. Here, punch me in the eyeball.
No, I'm not doing that. Wally, this is pointless. You can't let anger control you. It doesn't do any good.
You're right. This is exhausting. What do I do?
Well, first, you don't overreact. You keep your cool.
Keep my cool? Like Mr. Freeze? No way. He's a bad guy.
No, not like that. I mean, just stay calm. It's pretty easy. Don't hold on to a grudge. Choose to forgive. And when times are hard, don't get bitter. Choose joy.
But how am I going to get my super strength?
You have a different kind of strength. You can show the world the joy that comes with following God and with all of your heart.
Wow, you're so right. The Hulk can keep his huge muscles and his little purple pants. Besides, this green costume's giving me a rash. A wacky Wally is a happy Wally. I'm gonna choose joy. See you later, citizens. Wacky Wally, hooray!
Let's get right into that. What's up?
What's up? What's up? What's up? Ah, yeah. What's up, everybody? It's me. It's the SKI to the double TLES. Skittles is here, and I'm ready to tell you what's up. Today, we are learning a lesson from a dude called Haman. Hey, man. No, Haman. So every time somebody asks you what's up, you tell them, I won't let anger control me. There are some things in life that can really make us angry. I'm so mad! But you better be careful. Don't be giving in to your anger and letting it control you, because you might do something you regret. Shame, shame, everybody knows your name. That's right. You gotta remember that when you get angry, take it to God. He'll help you so you don't lose control, baby. So anytime somebody asks you what's up, you tell them, I won't let anger control me. And that is what's up, baby. I got a rainbow of flavor, and I'm living for my savior. Skittles out. See ya.
Greyson, it's game time.
It is?
It is. It's an awesome time. But you don't have a competition between me and you. So we're going to do one on the screen. You ready to play?
Yeah.
It's called Who Said It? So we're going to see if you guys know the answers to these questions. what time it is now.
What is it?
It's Power Verse time. We're going to learn God's Word together. It's an easy one today, is don't let sin control you. You ever do that?
No.
No. Let's learn God's Word together. Here's the Power Verse.
Hey everybody, it's me, Wiggy Pop. I'm here to teach you another rockin' power verse. Today's power verse says, don't sin by letting anger control you. Psalm 4:4a. Whoa, what a rockin' power verse. Now, you know what I need? I need my boys. That's right. Boys, stand up and say the power verse with me, Wiggy Pop, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Don't sin by letting anger control you. Psalm 4:4a. Great job, boys. You may have a seat, but now I need my girls. Come on, ladies, stand up and say the power verse with me, Wiggy, on the count of 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Don't sin by letting anger control you. Psalm 4:4a. Great job. You may have a seat. You know, anger is a powerful thing. The other day, I got so angry because one of my roadies dropped my brand new guitar amp. I was like, man, don't you know how much a brand new air guitar amp costs? It's expensive. But then I stopped myself and I asked God to help me with my anger. And you know what? He did. He helped me get control of my anger before it got control of me. What a relief. Now, you know what I need right now? I need everybody, boys and girls, to stand up and say this power verse with old Wiggy together. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Don't sin by letting anger control you. Psalm 4:4a. Nicely done. But before you sit down, let me hear your air guitar. Woo! Great job. You may have a seat. Well, my name is Wiggy Pop, and I've got to get on to my next gig. I'll see you next time when I teach you another rockin' power verse. See you later. Woo!
Okay, Greyson, so we're going to kind of finish up with our story of Esther. And last week, we kind of talked a little bit about how Esther got to be queen and how she went through 12 months of being made over and different things like this. Well, now Mordecai, her cousin, which raised her as his daughter, is in the palace. And he actually overhears, two of the doormen plotting against the king. And they wanted to kill the king. So Mordecai told Esther, and Esther went and told the king, and those two men were hung. So now we're going to learn some lessons on this man named Haman. And Haman was the second in command to the king. So he was a pretty powerful person. And it was made that everybody that would come in view of him, so to speak, they would have to bow down to Haman. And he wasn't even the king, but they still were required to do so. Well, Mordecai, he was like, no way, I am not bowing down to Haman. Not going to do it. Well, guess what? That made Haman so angry. Yes, to the point that he didn't want to just kill Mordecai. He wanted to kill all of his people, which were the Jews. Well, guess who else was a Jew? Esther. So that meant that Esther would be killed. So he went and he told, he had a special date. He went to the magicians and they come up with this date, which was actually March 7th. And so they had a few months to get things ready to really slaughter all the Jews. But he also had to go get permission from the king in order to be able to get this in law that this would actually happen. So he went to the king and he said, hey, you know what? He said, the Jews are still really bad people. That he came up with all these different reasons. And he said, you know what? We need to kill all the Jews, not just here in Persia, but all the way back into Jerusalem. And that way he was going to make sure that none of them were going to come back and kill him after killing Haman, or after killing Mordecai. So he went to the king and got this approved, and the king gave him his ring and said, seal it up. This is what we're going to do. That sounds awesome. Really, just because Mordecai wouldn't kneel down to Haman, but he was so angry that he let his anger completely control him. Well, to finish out a little bit of the story, Haman actually had a plan. He was like, you know what? We've got to get rid of Mordecai now. So he comes up, and I'm going to get into more of that story probably within a couple of weeks of how all that came about. But it's a very, very interesting story. So here we go. We're going to go on to the next slide. He says, you know what? I will kill all the Jews because of this. And why?
For no reason, just because Mordecai would not bow down to him.
Exactly. So he said, I'm not going to just kill Mordecai. I'm going to kill all the Jews. So here he goes, and what he did, what did we ever do? He came back and he said, you know what? Let's go into a little bit more of the details of the story before I get into this, because this is kind of like skipped a little bit here for me. He went back and Esther, okay, we're going to go back just a little bit. So rotate back with me just a little bit. Mordecai finds out that Haman is going to kill all the Jews. So Mordecai goes and tells Esther and says, Esther, you've got to help us. You have to go tell the king that Haman is planning on killing all the Jews. And you are a Jew, so you're going to end up being killed too. So he said, okay. So Esther, knowing what she had to do, she couldn't just go in to the king. She had to be asked to go into the king. So she was kind of put in a bad spot. So she thought, well, okay, we'll go in to the king, and hopefully, in that particular time, the king would have to raise his scepter in order for you to even talk. Even though she was the queen and she was his wife, she still had the scepter be pointed at her before she could even talk to the king. Well, guess what, Greyson? It had been 30 days since the king had even seen Esther. 30 days. Really? Yes, 30 days. So she goes in and she says, well, maybe the king will see me. Well, the king began to realize it had been 30 days since he had seen his own wife. So she made her way in, and all of a sudden he lifted his scepter and he pointed at her and he said, what can I do for you? And she said, you know what? King, can we have a banquet? He said, let's have you and me. Oh, and let's invite Haman. Well, Haman thought this was like awesome because he was so excited that he'd get to have a private banquet dinner with the king and the queen. He was so important. And so that night they had a big banquet, and all of a sudden, Esther just didn't feel like it was the right time to ask the king to change the plans about not killing the Jews. So he eventually came back and he said, now what can I do for you, Queen Esther? And she said, let's have another banquet tomorrow night. And make sure you ask Haman to come and join us. Because her plan was that she was going to tell the king his plan in front of him. And so they did. Haman was so excited because what an honor to have two banquets with the king and the queen. But during this time, he was headed home and he seen Mordecai, and Mordecai still would not bow down to him. And he was so mad about this, that he said, you know what? I'm killing him tonight. This is going to happen tonight. But they thought, no, I have to have permission from the king. But I'm going to get prepared. So he went and had all his men underneath him, and they built this big thing that would hang Haman. or Mordecai. So that's what Haman ended up doing. And so it was finished by morning. I want to say it was 75 feet. I can't remember all the details about it. But anyway, he had it done that particular night because he was bound and determined to get permission to kill Mordecai. So he goes to the king the next day and he says, hey, king, he said, you know what? I feel the need to, well, let's just say, what if you wanted to, well, and before he could get anything out, the king said, you know what? I was reading along and had heard the stories of Mordecai being the one who saved my life. He said, did we do anything in honor of him? And remember last week we talked about how he was not honored at all? And all of a sudden, he comes back the next, within a couple of weeks or whatever, and he says, how did we honor him? Well, king, we didn't. We didn't honor him. Well, what do you think we need to do to honor Mordecai because he saved my life? Well, Haman did not like this at all. He did not think this was a good thing at all. This is what the king does for someone who wishes to honor him. So what Haman did was he said, well, you know what? He was thinking it was him that the king wanted to honor, so to speak. But it really wasn't. It was Mordecai. So within his head, he said, you know what? I think we should give him a crown. He should wear the robe. He should be on your best horse. And one of your best servants should be able to parade him around and say, this is what the king does to someone he wishes to honor. But he wasn't really thinking that it was going to be Mordecai. So the man that he was getting ready to kill ended up, he had to parade him with honor because he saved the king's life. Well, guess what? It was to the next point that all this was worth nothing to me so long as I see Mordecai, the Jew, sitting at the king's gate. And what does he mean by this? Is he went home after doing all that and he was just like, man, I had to parade that man around and tell everybody what he had done in his honor. He said, that is so bad. I don't want to do that. It's not something I wanted to do. So, and his wife had told him, he told his wife, he said, all this is worth nothing as long as I see those Jews sitting at the king's gate. None of this is worth it. So he ended up going to the banquet again that night. And eventually the king asked the queen, what can I do for you? What is it that you're wanting? And she began to say, you know what? I need you to save my people. They have been put in law that on March 7th, they are to slaughter all the Jews, and I am a Jew. And I need you to save my people. And he said, what? Who come up with all this? What all this has happened? Well, she began to point. She said, it's Haman. Haman wants to kill all of the people. And so all of a sudden, the whole story turns, and the king ends up killing Haman for what he was going to end up doing to Mordecai. So what a little bit of our lessons today is what we can learn from Haman is don't overreact and keep your cool. So, Haman, he really overreacted with this whole thing just because Mordecai would not bow down to him. And a lot of times we have to remember that it is important to keep our cool. We've all had cases or different things that have come up that has made us so angry that we say things that we don't mean, we do things that we wish we hadn't done, and so that is why it is so important to not overreact and to keep our cool. Our second thing that we can learn is don't be bitter, but we can always choose joy. And what ended up happening with Haman and Mordecai is the fact that he honestly was bitter about some things that had been in the past with their relatives. And so he was holding on to this grudge and all of this. So I'm going to kind of show you an example. This is a little backpack, and I know it's girly, but it's a simple little illustration. So Greyson, we're going to open this up and we're going to put a brick in here. And this is kind of like, hold that, there you go. Is it kind of a little heavy? Yep, it is a little heavy. We do not want to hold on to grudges. We need to choose to forgive. And that is something that Haman just couldn't do. He just could not get rid of the grudge. And a lot of times it is like this. We put bricks, we carry a backpack, and we carry around those grudges all the time. And guess what, Greyson? It doesn't do us any good. A grudge is what we would call those bad feelings that we just hang on to, that we cannot get rid of. And it ends up hurting us a lot more than it hurts the person that we're holding a grudge to. Haman definitely held a grudge against Mordecai. In fact, it ended up coming back to him. He was the one that ended up being killed, right? You make me sound like this is a very boring story. You keep yawning. But that's okay. It's all good. You know what? We need to walk away from anger. And can you imagine carrying that backpack on your back all the time?
It'd be so hard. I don't know if I could do it.
That's exactly what carrying a grudge is that we carry those grudges, carry that bitterness on our back and on our shoulders, and it gets heavy. And it only ends up hurting us. It doesn't hurt anybody else because they're not carrying it, right? It's just you. So we need to learn how to get rid of the grudges. We need to choose to forgive those people who have hurt us. So don't be bitter. Choose joy. Boys and girls, I hope and pray that you do not have any bitterness in your heart. And along as we are continuing these riots and these things that our country is facing right now, there's a lot of bitterness, there's a lot of grudges that we need to let go of. We need to learn to forgive and learn to love like Christ. Boys and girls, I hope and pray that you have no bitterness hidden in your heart that you're carrying around like this heavy backpack. We love you, we miss you, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great week.